Hello and welcome to your yoga practice. Just a few things to note for today's practice. There'll be a few things where you might find a chair beneficial. So if you need to go get a sturdy chair, folding chair works if you have one, or just a sturdy kitchen, dining room kind of chair. Usually a chair without arms is better, but for the purposes for today, any sort of sturdy chair will work. And then also maybe have your blocks nearby, and we're definitely going to use a strap. So just make sure you have all your props before you get settled. And let's go ahead. We're going to start lying on the side. So have a blanket or a pillow or something nearby to make sure you get your head and neck comfortable. Lie on your left side. So I'm going to lie on my left side so I'm not mirroring the video for this particular sequence. And if you don't need something under the head, you could do it without something under the head. Most people find a little something beneficial. And then take a moment just to settle in. Knees bent about 90 degrees. Doing your best to start with a stacked body, top side, bottom side. So feet, knees, hips, shoulders, stacked. And then check your head position, and as much as possible, make sure your head's not tipped forward or anything. Try to get your ears in line with your shoulders. Bottom arm, for now, could be bent or straight. And the first thing we're going to do is just pause here, and we'll take maybe about 6 or so breaths. Feel free to close the eyes. And notice how the breath feels and moves in the body in this side lying position. Okay, and then take your right arm, reach it towards the ceiling first. Go ahead and circle the wrist a few times. Nice and slow, and really be kind of thorough with that wrist circle. Reverse direction. Nice, easy breaths. The next, bend that right elbow and place the hand. You could place your hand on your forehead with either the palm of the hand or the back of the head on the forehead. Some people find it more comfortable to have the hand on the back of the head. Either one of those is fine. And then the first movement we're doing is basically just an initial twist to check your range of motion and your tension before we do a bunch of loosening movements. And we'll come back to this twist later. So don't force it. Start to take that right elbow back. The head goes with you. Of course, the spine starts to turn. And just pause at that first hint of resistance and notice how does the top side of the body feel? Anything in your waist or your lower back or your hip? You feel anything in that right side of the chest or shoulder or any place else? And also notice how far off the floor is your right elbow. Don't force anything, just observing. And then come back to where you started and relax that arm. And then next, the starting position for the next series of movements, you might need to adjust the blanket. So I'll show you what it is first. Let me sit up for a moment to show you what the arm position is going to be. You can stay lying down. So basically the arm position, I'll show you from the side view, is your elbows are going to be bent 90 degrees and you're going to interlace your hands So see, my hands are about level with my forehead. And so this is going to be the starting position, and you're basically going to lie down with the arms in that position. So again, you got elbows, shoulder height, interlaced hands. So a couple things to note here. Make sure the head's supported with enough height. The other thing is not everybody can rest this left back of the hand on the floor here. So if the left hand isn't resting on the floor, then maybe slide your blanket further forward so your hand can rest on the blanket. If you need more or less height under the hand, you could certainly play around with that. The other thing to note as you start and get in this position is, again, for many people with the hands stacked, the elbows will not be touching just yet. You have your knees stacked here and your hips are still stacked. And then the first movement here is you keep the hands together and you just start to lift that right elbow away from the left elbow as far as it'll go. Once it stops moving, you keep it lifted, feel the muscles that are keeping that arm in that position, and then nice and smooth and slow, lower that elbow back down. And you might notice just after one round that your elbows might even already be a little closer together. And do that 3 more times. Slowly lift that right elbow. Try not to involve anything else but the shoulder movement. So make sure you're not twisting your spine or unstacking your shoulders or your knees. Make sure you relax at the bottom. And 2 more times. Lift smoothly. Pause at the top. Even though the movement stops, you still have that effort of lifting. And then lower, breathing freely, and make sure you relax. 1 more of these. Slowly lift the elbow. Doesn't matter how high the elbow goes. Everybody's shoulder joint will be different here. Some people, the movement's pretty big. Others, it's smaller. It's not about the size. And then relax. Now you're going to keep those hands together and the arms just relax. Elbows may or may not be touching without turning your torso. So make sure your shoulders don't get involved. You're just going to slowly turn the head to look a bit more up towards the ceiling. Again, make sure you don't lose the stacking of the knees or the shoulders. And then relax. Sometimes the neck will start to take the rest of the spine with it. And do that 3 more times, nice and slow and easy. Start to look up towards the ceiling by turning the head comfortably. Pause and relax and pause. 2 more nice and easy head turns. Look up. Remember, keeping the shoulders stacked. And as you do this movement and repeat it 1 more time after you go back to neutral, notice if the range of motion or the ease of the movement is changing at all. Last one, turn the head to the right. Back to center. Relax. Pause here for a breath. Next, we're going to combine those 2 movements. Lifting the elbow and turning the head towards the ceiling at the same time. And it's possible that that head turning might feel easier with the combination of the lifting of the elbow. And then lower the elbow, head goes back to neutral, relax completely through the arm and the neck. And do that combination movement 3 more times. Lift the elbow, turn the head. Remember, try not to involve the torso in the turning up. And relax the arm and the neck. Pause. 2 more. Lift the elbow, turn the chin towards the ceiling. Down. Rest. 1 more of these. Lift the elbow, turn the head. Pause. And relax. Okay, rest for a moment here. Okay, the next movement, again, you might need to adjust your blanket a little bit because we're going to be turning the head the other way, looking down towards the floor. So I like to take my blanket and angle it a little bit away from my shoulder so I have room to roll my head with my forehead on the blanket, but my nose is not being smashed by the blanket. Same arm position, Those hands resting together with your elbows relaxing towards one another. And then this time, the elbows, the hands, the shoulders, the hips and the knees all stay stacked. Nice, easy, simple movement. Start to turn your head to the left. Make sure your right shoulder doesn't dip forward. Pause, and then relax slowly back to neutral. And do that head turning to the left, looking down towards the floor a few times. Again, could be a little tiny turning. Back to neutral. 2 more times, head turns to the left, looking down towards the floor. Paying attention to not involving the pelvis or the rest of the spine. Keeping this isolated in the neck. Last one. Maybe noticing if the movement is changing at all. Pause next time you're at neutral. And then the last movement we're going to do, last movement in this particular section is you're going to look down towards the floor with your head and lift the right elbow at the same time. Pause. And relax. Elbow down, head back to neutral. Pause. We'll do that movement 3 more times. Same lifting of the right elbow we were doing before. Difference is you're turning and looking towards the floor. And relax back to neutral. Pause for a couple seconds. 2 more. Right elbow up. Head looks down towards the floor. Release. 1 more. Lift the elbow. Head turns towards the floor. Keep it comfortable. Make sure that top knee isn't sliding or anything. Back to neutral. Rest for a breath. The last movement is to go back to the elbow lifting and the head turning towards the ceiling. Again, not turning the rest of the torso, and then lower the elbow, head back to neutral. Just do that movement 2 more times. Maybe noticing if your elbows have gotten any closer together at this point, or if the movement's feeling easier. 1 more. Elbow lifts, head turns towards ceiling. Elbow down, relax. And next, you're going to take that right arm towards the ceiling. You can straighten that left arm if you want now, or keep it bent. And then bend the right elbow. Place the hand wherever you placed it on the head before. If you had it on the forehead or the back of the head. And then we're just going to repeat that twist we did at the very beginning, which is to let that right elbow go behind you. And now you're letting the spine get involved. The knees might not be, the shoulders certainly aren't stacked anymore. The top knee might slide back beyond the bottom knee. And just notice, we'll hold the twist a few breaths this time. Notice if there's any different sensation. Maybe there's a sense of less tension in the waist or the back or the hip or the chest. Maybe the elbows closer to the floor. And a couple more breaths here. What's interesting is we didn't do any twists in that whole side lying sequence, but the movements we were doing in the neck and the arm released tension in that whole top side of the body. 1 more breath. And then from here, just release the twist, take the hand off the head, and flip yourself over to your back. Adjust what you have underneath your head. If you need it in a slightly different position, straighten the legs. Shake out the legs and the feet, and then relax. And take a few breaths, noticing, feel the right side of the body and the left side of the body, and notice any differences between the 2 sides. The right side did a lot of movement already. Okay, bend the knees and bring yourself to lie on your other side. So I'm going to spin myself around so I can still face You guys out there, if you want to face the other direction and not do the spinning around, that's fine. We'll do the whole thing over on this side. So now you're lying on your right side. Pause for a moment. Get that about 90-degree bend in the knees. You got the feet, the knees, the hips, the shoulders all stacked. And deciding what amount of support your neck needs on this side. Sometimes the two sides are different. And before we start any of the movements that we did, maybe closing your eyes, we'll take about 5 breaths. Just settling into lying on the right side here. Okay, next, reach that left arm straight up towards the ceiling. Start to circle the wrist. Remember, go slower maybe than what you usually do, and make that circle as thorough as is comfortable and slow. Reverse. Sometimes just that simple act of changing the pace of a movement can really change the experience in the body. Okay, from here, bend that elbow, place the hand. Remember, you got 2 choices. Hand can be touching the forehead or the back of the head. And then twisting, left elbow starts to pull you back that way. Let the torso twist as much as is comfortable. Pause when you start to feel any tension or resistance. You don't have to keep the knees stacked. And then again, just notice how's the top side feel, the waist, the hip, maybe that chest or shoulder, and how far off the floor is the elbow. And then roll back to your side. And now we're going to get that palms of the hands stacked. Forearms bent about 90 degrees at the elbows, with the elbows about shoulder height. Same starting position we did before. Remember, elbows initially here might not be touching. First movements, keep the hands touching, and the shoulder stacks start to lift the left elbow slowly and smoothly. Pause at the end of the movement for a few seconds. Lower it back down. And relax. Same movement 3 more times, lifting the elbow. Slow and smooth and pause. Come back down. Same qualities, slow and smooth with a pause. 2 more of those on your own. Next time your elbows are down, pause. It's possible that your elbows might be resting a little closer already. And then we're going to do keeping the arms, the hands, the shoulders, the hips, everything where it is except for the neck. So you're going to start to roll a bit towards the back of the head, comfortably looking towards the ceiling. Pause for a second or 2, and then nice and smooth and slow, head goes back to neutral. Do that simple turning of the head. Keep it comfortable 3 more times on your own. Remember to pay attention to if you turn your head too far, your shoulder girdle will start to get involved and your spine will start to twist. So pay attention to not allowing that to happen, keeping it in the neck. One more. Next time you're back at neutral, pause for a breath. And then we'll combine those two movements. Lift the left elbow at the same time you turn your head to look up. Notice how the combination of the two movements feels, and then bring it all back down. Make sure you pause and let go of any muscular tension or effort at neutral. And do that 3 more times on your own. Elbow lifts towards ceiling, head turns same direction. Remember those pauses at the top and the bottom of the movement? And relax. Next time you're down. Next, we're going to switch to turn the head towards the floor. So again, if you need to adjust where you have your blanket slightly, hands and arms stay in the same general shape. The difference this time is you're turning the chin towards the right shoulder and towards the floor, kind of rolling a little bit across the forehead. And then back to neutral. Pause. And do that simple head turning towards the floor 3 more times. Again, pay attention to isolating the neck here, making sure neither the shoulders or the hips are becoming unstacked with this movement. Doesn't matter how big the movement is, as long as it's isolated in the neck. 1 more. Pause at neutral for a breath. Now you combine the lifting of the elbow towards the ceiling with the turning of the head towards the floor. Lift the left elbow, turn the head to the right. Pause. Nice and smooth and slow, lower, back to neutral, elbow down, head neutral. 3 more of that combination movement. Elbow up, head to the right. Shoulders, hips, and knees stay stacked. 2 more on your own. Nice, easy breaths on your own pace. To finish the round you're on, rest for a moment again. Next, going back to the lifting of the elbow and the turning of the head towards the ceiling. 3 times in total, so that was the first round. Make sure you pause at neutral. Do that combination 2 more times on your own. Still keeping the shoulders and the knees and the hips stacked, so we're keeping this isolated in the left shoulder and the neck. Last one. Okay, rest for a moment. And then we'll repeat that first twisting movement that we did. So left hand, wherever you placed it on your head, whether it was forehead or back of the head. And then let that left elbow and the weight of the arms start to pull you into the twist. So you're letting the spine twist, letting the knees become unstacked if you want, and just noticing, has there been any shift in how far down the elbow is towards the floor, or any different sensation of ease in the back with the twist. And a few more breaths. Untwist yourself. Release the hand off the head and roll to your back. Straighten the legs. Again, shake stuff out if you want to shake out your legs and feet or your arms, and then relax and settle and observe. About 5 breaths here, noticing how the body feels now that you've done both sides. Obviously that sequence got the spine. We did neck rotations and we did torso twisting as well. And then of course we did wrist and elbow and shoulder. Two more breaths here. Okay, bend the knees. Roll to one side. Doesn't matter which one. Bring your arm or your blanket underneath the head. Press yourself up slowly. Take your time. And then we'll meet up in standing. Move blankets and things out of the way. And this is the first thing that we'll use the chair for. So go ahead and move your chair over to your mat. I suggest having the back legs of the chair on the mat, near the short edge of the mat. So it'll be in front of you. So you'll be standing behind the back of the chair. And have your feet just a comfortable mountain pose-ish stance apart. I'm actually going to do this facing the camera initially. So see how my feet are a little bit apart. So not all the way together, but not too wide either. And then the movement is going to be, use the chair as much as you need to. Start to slowly lift the heels up off the floor. Just as high as is comfortable. Could be a small lift to the heels. Pause for a few seconds. Feel what's happening with your ankles and your toes and your calves and your shins. Gradually let the heels go back down. And once the heels go down, draw the buttocks a little bit back and try to lift the toes up off the floor and maybe the balls of the feet if you can. And again, notice what's happening with your toes, your ankles, your calves, and your shins. And we'll do that a few more times. Lower the toes and the balls of the feet and lift the heels. And then lower the heels, rock back towards the heels, lift the toes and the balls of the feet if you can. 2 more of these. Lift the heels, you're on your toes. Lower the heels, lift the toes, you're on your heels. 1 more of these. Keep it comfortable. This is a little tricky balance-wise, which is why I wanted you to have the chair. This is about ankle mobility and strength in calves and shins, and then just pause at neutral. Relax your arms by your sides, take them off the chair for a moment. And if it feels comfortable, close your eyes and just stand here in mountain pose with your eyes closed. Eyes closed mountain pose might be a little more, cause some swaying to happen in your body, so if it feels too off balance, keep your eyes open. 3 more breaths. We're going to repeat that same movement, but we're going to change the starting position just a little bit. So again, I'll show you from this vantage point. You're going to have your heels together and your feet, the front of the feet wider than the toes. So it doesn't need to be a super big turnout, but you want your heels together and the feet turned out a little bit. And then we'll do the same movement we did before, holding on to the chair with your heels close and your big toes apart. And you lift up the heels with the slightly turned out feet. Feel if it's any different in the calves or the glutes or anything else, and then heels go down.
Rock back to those close together heels and lift the toes, balls of the feet if you can. Brief pause, and then set the feet down. We'll do 3 more times. Lift the heels. You got your toes apart and your heels close together. And then heels down. Rock back the weight a little bit towards the heels. Hinge slightly at the hips. Lift the toes, balls of the feet. Feet flat. One more time. Heels up. Down. Heels down. Toes up. Balls of the feet up maybe. And then back to feet flat. Keep them in that position. Arms by the sides. Close the eyes. Couple breaths. Or keep the eyes open. It's always an option. Okay, then one more position we're going to do with this heel-toe situation. I'll face the camera again. So this time you're going to have your big toes close and your heels a little bit apart. So pigeon-toed basically. And we're going to do that heel lift and then rock back to the heels and lift the toes 4 more times with this different position with the feet. So big toes close, heels apart, lift the heels. Pause and again, notice any differences in what's happening in your toes or your ankles, your calves, or your shins. Heels down, rock back, lift the toes. Maybe you can get the balls of the feet up too. Feet go down, make sure they go down still in that pigeon-toed position. Lift the heels. Slowly roll down through the feet. Heels down, lift the toes, balls of the feet. 2 more. Lift the heels. Big toes are close, heels are apart. Down, go the other way, lift the toes, rock back to those separated heels. And then 1 more. Up on the toes, heels apart. Heels down, heels are apart. Toes, big toes towards one another, rock back. And relax. Okay, shake it out. You can move that chair out of the way. We'll use it again probably in a little bit, but for now you can move it out of the way and find your strap. And for this one, usually folding the strap in half is a good idea so it's not quite as long. And then slide one hand all the way to the end that has the buckle. So you got your hand all the way at one end, strap folded in half, and then take your other hand and slide it apart. So your hands are going to start wider than the shoulders. And then you're just going to move freely here. Maybe take a slightly wider stance, slight bend in the knees, and just start to play around with moving with the strap between the hands. And there's really no wrong way to do it. You could try narrower hands, wider hands. You can bring them down in front of you. You could do circles. You could bring them out in front and do twists. Basically anything goes. You could do side bends. Elbows could be bent or straight. You could bend the elbows and pull the strap down behind you. So basically anything goes. You can lean forward, kind of take the strap down towards the floor. So again, no right or wrong way. Just moving freely here, releasing some tension. Shoulders, this also gets the spine moving depending on what you're doing here. Another few breaths. strap out of the way. Okay, the next one, you might, well, you're gonna want to fold your at least half of your mat out of the way, and I'm gonna have you, you can put the chair in front of you just in case. And again, I'm going to show you from the front view first because I think that view is beneficial. And basically what you're going to be doing, the chair's there for balance help if you need it. And it's a zigzag walking, so it's like the heel to toe but going side to side. So you lift both heels, you swivel them to one side, you set them down, and then you lift the balls of the feet and you swivel them and you set them down. And you're doing like a side to side zigzaggy walking. So your chair's there, so you won't be able to go too far, but you can maybe do a few rounds to each side. Keep one hand on the chair, and then zigzag your way back to the center and go as far to the other side as you can. Keep in touch with the chair, and just do that a couple more times. So it's the heel-toe walking we were doing, but going side to side with it rather than just up and down. So it's up and down and side to side. Let's do one more set. Going one direction, keeping one hand on the chair, and then going back as far as you can the other way. Breathing. It's kind of fun, isn't it? And then back to the center behind the chair. And then pause, arms by your sides, close your eyes, take a few breaths in mountain pose. Okay, eyes open. Go ahead and unfold your mat if you folded it up. You can do that zigzaggy walking on the sticky mat, but it makes it quite a bit harder because the mat's sticky. So I find it better to do it without the sticky mat underneath you, at least initially. Okay, next, you're going to take the chair and you're going to spin it around. So you got the front legs of the chair now at that short edge of the mat. So you got the chair seat facing you rather than you standing behind the chair. You're essentially in front of the chair now. And we'll be using it for most of the poses in different ways. So first one is bend the knees a little bit, get your hands to the seat of the chair, and then keep your right foot where it is and hop your left foot back once or twice. You can do this either with the heel staying up or pivot the heel down. And then either way, if you can, bring your arms up over the head. So you're in either warrior one if your back heel's down, or high lunge if the heel is up. Back leg nice and straight. 3 more breaths here. Lower the arms by the sides. Step the left foot forward. You can touch the chair if you need to, or step forward with your upright torso. And then do the other side. Fold forward, bend the knees a little bit, hands to the chair. Left knee bends, stays put, right foot hops back. Maybe once or twice or 3 times. Decide if you're putting your heel down or keeping it up. And then see if you can come upright, hands off the chair. Back leg nice and straight. Two more breaths. Arms by the sides. Lean forward and touch the chair if you need to, or step forward, staying more upright. Pause. Okay, next, fold forward, get your hands on the chair again, hop your left foot back, heel down, come upright first, arms in a T this time, and don't go too far back with your stance, not too wide. Reach out through the fingers, press up through the head, draw a little bit in through the core of the body here. And then you're leaning the torso a little more over that right leg. Keep a nice neutral neck. So the head goes with you. If you lifted your chin and you're still looking at the wall in front of you, then go back to vertical, reset your neck, and as you lean forward, your neck stays neutral, and your gaze should probably be down more towards the seat of the chair now, rather than at the wall. One more breath. Straighten that knee, arms by the side, step forward. You can always touch the chair if you need to. Fold, hands to the chair, left foot stays, right foot hops back once or twice, pivot the heel down, bring the torso up, adjust your stance, longer or narrower, arms to a T. Really press up through the top of the head. Find that neutral neck position where the chin feels just a tiny bit tucked back of the neck long. Keep the neck where it is and lean the whole torso slightly over that left leg. So remember, because your neck stayed neutral, you should be probably looking more down towards the chair now. Right leg stays nice and straight. Start to straighten the knee, relax the arm, step forward. Shake it out. Okay, next we're going to do a fierce pose twist with the hand going to the seat of the chair. So bend the knees, arms go out to that same T as before. And then you start to twist, you take your right hand to the chair and the left arm up. If having the left arm straight doesn't feel good, you can always bend the elbow and rest the hand down on the body somewhere. And find a comfortable position for your head. You could be looking down towards the chair, up towards the top hand, or somewhere in between. Both knees bent. 2 more breaths. And then start to return to the T arms, straighten the legs, rest the arms by the sides. And repeat on the other side. Arms go up to a T, bend both knees. Comfortable amount of bend. You're taking your T arms, you're turning to the right, left hand to the chair. Right arm up or bent and wrapped behind. Breathing here, keep lengthening through the spine, crown of the head. Start to untwist. T goes back out. Straighten the legs. Arms by the sides. Okay. Okay, next one. Go ahead and step your right foot forward so your toes are maybe just in line with the front legs of your chair. Take your hands to the top of the back of your chair and then hop your left foot back, maybe a foot or so. You land on the toes and then you're pressing that left heel towards the floor. Keeping your right leg as straight as you can. You draw your hips back. Hands can stay on the top of the chair. You can take your hands to the seat of the chair. Play around with how close or far away you need to be from the chair. Everybody's a little different with their proportions and what feels good on the shoulders. Back nice and long and level towards the floor. Still reaching out through the crown of the head. Shoulders pull away from the ears. 3 more breaths here. This one's called intense side stretch, using the chair as a prop for these today. Step the left foot forward. Stand up, take your hands off the chair, shake it out. And then pause, standing up tall, couple breaths. Again, you got your feet pretty close to being in line with the front legs of the chair. Take your hands to the top of the back of your chair. Hop your right foot back, a foot or two or more. Land on your toes, press back through the heel. And then you're reaching your buttocks backwards on your mat. Left leg as straight as you can get it. Hands can stay up high on the back of the chair or go down to the seat of the chair. Breathing here, engage through the belly, keep a nice neutral spine. Make sure the back's not rounding towards the ceiling like cat tilt. You also don't want it dipping too far towards the floor into cow tilt. So find a neutral, elongated spine. 2 more breaths. With your hands on the chair, wherever they are, step the right foot forward, come up. Rest for a moment, standing up. Okay, and then the last one here is we're going to add a twist to some of what we were just doing. So you're going to start by folding forward, get the hands on the chair seat. Hop the left foot back with the right knee bent. Get the left heel down, bring the arms up to the T position. So we did this one a couple minutes ago. Reach up through the top of the head. Keep the T arms and lean the torso on that forward diagonal. Back heel stays grounded. If the back heel pops up, just shorten your stance. Now take this position and take your left hand to the chair and the right arm up. So you just add a twist to this. And then if you can, from here, you start to straighten the right leg. If you need to shorten your stance, or maybe you can't get the knee all the way straight, that's fine. Remember, you always have the option of resting that right hand down on the body. Couple more breaths here. Now you're in twisted triangle. And then we're going to reverse the way we got into it. So you stay on your twist, bend that right knee. Keep the right knee bent. Go to your T arms, your little lean forward. And then bring the torso up. Relax, step forward. Maybe shake out the legs and the arms. Pause for a couple breaths. We'll do that on the other side. Okay, fold forward, hands to the chair, bend both knees. Right foot hops back. Maybe take more than one hop if you need to. Press through the heel. Left knee stays bent, foot is flat. Come upright, arms in a T. Crown of the head faces the ceiling. Keep the legs where they are. Lean the torso a little more over the left. Right leg still straight, left knee still bent. Now you just take your T and you rotate it. Right hand to the chair, left knee still bent. Adjust yourself if you need to be closer or further away from the chair. And then see about starting to straighten the left leg here. Twisted triangle, a few more breaths. Again, we come out the way we came in. So first, keeping your twist, just start to rebend that left knee. Keep the bend in the knee, unrotate your T-arm, but you're still leaning forward slightly. And then upright, relax the arm, step forward. All right, very good. Let's finish with one more balance position standing. Maybe turn your chair around again. So you got the high part of the chair, the back of the chair. You have the chair to the side of you this time. Doesn't matter which side. And we're going to stand on an imaginary tightrope or imaginary balance beam here. Take your left foot, step it in front of the right foot, and get some weight in both feet, although usually there's a little more weight in the back leg here. Draw up and inwards, kind of squeeze in through the hips, little glute action, engage through the core. And you could hold on to the chair, steady pressure with the hand. You could do just a light fingertip. You could tap the finger. So depending on how steady you're feeling, you can remove the hand entirely. Chair's always there if you need it. Breathing. About another 30 seconds. Okay, maybe get a hold of the chair with that hand. Take that foot you stepped forward and just get your feet parallel to one another. Mountain pose for a few breaths. Feet closer together. Step the right foot in front this time. Just make sure you do the opposite side. And again, get that pressing down through the feet, squeezing a little bit in through the muscles around the hips and the inner thighs and the core. And then balancing here, using the chair, steady pressure, fingertip, tapping, or arms to a T or arms by your sides, depending on how the balance is coming along here. Eyes open. Nice relaxed breaths. This position fosters in me a great appreciation for people who walk on tight ropes or gymnasts who flip up and down on all around on these balance beams. Pretty amazing. One more breath. Okay, hold on to the chair if you need to. Get your feet back to a mountain pose kind of distance. And then to release that out of the body, just start to march in place, lift a knee, opposite arm swings forward. And you're completely in control of how high you lift the knee, how high you lift the arm, and what sort of pace you're doing with your marching here. About another 20 seconds. Okay, mountain pose. Move your chair out of your way. And make your way down onto your back. Grab any props first if you need to. Once you're down on your back, draw the knees in towards the belly. You could do this either with the arms staying on the ground or hands touching the legs. Begin to circle the legs around. Reverse it. Massaging that lower back area. Okay, set the feet down. Getting ready for shavasana. Grab props if you want any support for behind the knees or the head, or you want to cover yourself up or lie on your side. Anything goes as long as it's comfortable. Lying on your side is a perfectly good option. If lying on your back isn't comfortable, you basically keep fidgeting and exploring in prop position and body placement until you find a position that right now feels comfortable for you. Doesn't matter what position you laid in 2 weeks ago or yesterday, it's got to be comfortable for you now. Relax the eyes. Relax the jaw. Upper and lower rows of teeth part slightly. And then notice where your tongue is in your mouth. And if you can do it comfortably, let kind of the front inch or so of your tongue rest flat against the roof of the mouth behind the front teeth. So you're not trying to take the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth. You're just letting the tongue rest flat behind the front teeth in a relaxed way. And with the tongue in that position, it hopefully will help the jaw to relax. position of your body. Notice your breath. Start some small movements and then letting the movements get bigger in any way that would feel good to your body before you roll to your side. Take a couple breaths side lying. And then come up to sitting. Okay. Hope you feel good. Looser all over. Definitely did some movement focused on releasing tension for twisting movements in the torso. And twisting doesn't just happen with the torso. If there's tension up here in the chest or the shoulder blade area, upper back, that can affect the twisting ability. So hopefully you improved your range of motion. Namaste.